Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and once again, I'm here with Chandra. We're not going to talk TWIA because we've still got another week to go before the decisions made by the TWIA. Who makes the decision, Chandra?
Commissioner
Commissioner,
Venture.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so, and actually, Chandra is going to be gone next week. But she's going to keep me informed, and so I'm still going to do a show on the decision that was made on the 15th. But we're actually recording this show on the 9th, and today we're going to talk about Milton because it is barreling down on the middle coast of Florida, the Tampa area, Sarasota, I think, and it's moved, I think, a little south. Then it came back a little north. But they're talking, storm surge. They've called for a mandatory evacuation, if I'm not mistaken. Um, let's talk about, you know, uh, I saw a video, Chandra. One guy said, "I'm going to stay here," and he was right just south of Tampa. Said,
Yeah,
because I've got hurricane force windows and they're good for a 2x4 at 140 mile an hour. And I was thinking, yeah, but it don't take into account that half-mile wide tornado.
that's true, and I think that's one of the things that people get a little overconfident whenever we build these houses to withstand hurricane force winds. First of all, I don't believe that the design criteria in that particular area is quite high enough for some of the winds that we're going to be experiencing. The design criteria in like down in the Keys is like 180 miles an hour.
Is it?
They're a little bit more exposed, but as you move up the state, it's like 170, 160, 150. So in that range, it's about 150-ish design criteria, and everything is address specific. The wind design is address specific. So we have um, a a hazard map that we put in the address, and we can look up exactly what design criteria we need to use for that specific location. So it's really important to know that even if you have impact rated windows, those windows can still break. It's kind of like if you get into a car wreck and your
Right,
windshield shatters, it's got that film on it that it keeps, you're trying to keep that windshield intact and all that glass from hitting you. But we have the same thing with impact windows. I mean, it's not that the window can't be broken. It's not the window can't be penetrated. It's just that the whole thing maybe won't come out.
right,
But you're also assuming that the window is installed perfectly, that there's no other damage to the frame, that you don't have, a leak in your flashing that's weakened your wood structure or your
right.
concrete structure that could prevent that window from performing correctly. So I think it's more about the building being able to not have to be rebuilt after the storm, not necessarily using it as a storm shelter.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea. That's not what homes are designed for. They're not
Well,
designed to be storm shelters. When we design storm shelters, fire stations, police stations, schools, we design those to a different what they call risk factor, and so it actually bumps that wind speed up, so it can take a higher design pressures on that building. So those are actually designed differently. They actually have little safe rooms where you have rooms with no windows in them and things
right.
like that where we have protection. So that's why they say, hey, if you're here, go to the storm shelter. It's not because you don't have a home. It's because your
Those are
home really
built
isn't designed for
differently.
that. And
Yeah.
and just like you said, I mean, one of the things that they were talking about this morning was that right around the eye wall, there's a black line. And I don't know if you saw it, there's a black line there. That black line is that area where they have these they have a specific name, but they're basically little mini tornadoes.
Right,
And those tornadoes are going to be, for this kind of storm with the low pressures that we're experiencing and, the tightness of that eye wall. I mean, those could be very intense, like EF 3, 4, 5. And so you could have very localized high damages from these little tornadoes that are coming out of the eye wall. So I've seen some video already online where you see the little funnel coming down, out of the clouds. So it's already starting. I mean, I know don't have landfall until overnight,
That's what I didn't like.
Thursday. But all these effects are starting now. Like these, I mean, if you haven't evacuated now, you're already feeling the effects of this, because when the eye wall makes landfall, half the storm's already come through, So they're already experiencing, and we've all been through this, right? We've all been through this, but every single storm is a little bit different. How it hits, how low the pressure is, how tight the eye wall is, if there's any shear winds that are going to break it up, what kind of land masses it's hitting, where it's hitting, like all those things affect, also how much storm surge it's going to push ahead of it. This is moving pretty slow, and so it's had its opportunity to pull all that water and push it up into the bay.
Well, especially like Tampa Bay there, where it's going in is perfect for stacking water up. And we even see it here. In fact, Keith and I were talking about it yesterday during one of the storms. I can't remember which one it was. We didn't get I think it was Rita, if I'm not mistaken, or one of them. Because we had a north wind and it drove the water to the east end of East Bay and actually flooded 120 or Highway 87 on the east end, because it was stacking up on the bay and came across the marsh there. You made a comment. You have a employee down there, and you told him, man, you need to get out.
I did. I told him yesterday. He's like, oh, I think I'll wait till tomorrow. I said, do not wait till tomorrow. I mean, today. Don't wait. I said, you need to go now. Like, do not wait. I said, and don't go north, because it is lined up, stacked up.
And they're running out of gas.
I said, people are running out of gas. They're getting stranded on the highway. There's there's no movement going north. Everybody's just kind of stuck. So I said, go south, go to Miami, go to Fort Lauderdale, go to the Keys, go somewhere south where you're getting out of that storm, area. You can kind of reassess and see, okay, is my home okay? Do I have power? Do I have electricity? Because those are you might have no damage to your home, but if you don't have power and electricity, I mean, you might not have water.
Telling people that if you stay in an area that they're either suggesting you leave or mandatory, you need to have enough supplies for 2 weeks. And that's what I've heard here, whenever like Burl was coming in, I told people ahead of time, if you have health problems, it's a good idea to leave, because we could be without power even down there, hitting down there for a week, and I went and got gas for the generator.
Beryl was a category 1. And I mean, I have a generator, and I was lucky enough that my generator, it didn't work. We had to go play with it a little bit. Finally got it to work. But once we got it going, it was fine. We ran for 2 days, no problem. We got power back on day 3, which was really quick. I'm like, but there was some of my employees, was 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. Like there was the longest that we had was somebody that was out of power for 10 days.
Yeah, that's
and and they did. That's just a long time, especially in July, to be, without power, electricity, internet. I mean, and Burrell was a 1, and they just had Helene 2 weeks ago, went right through that area, already flooded, I mean, I've seen photos of people had to have their houses gutted. They've already started their cleanup, which is what you do after a storm, right? Helene was a really bad event, and then it moved up into the Carolinas and everything, and just Tennessee, and just
devastating up there.
Just devastated that whole area, because they had already been experiencing a lot of rain and everything, and the way it concentrated, it's just like a funnel. It just came right down those mountains and just flooded everything. So every single storm is different. The track is different. The conditions that it's going into is different. So we just can't be. We have to be vigilant. We can't take advantage of the fact that, we've been through a storm before. We've been through a 1, we've been through a 5, we've been through whatever. Every single storm is different. You have to take them all very seriously.
Right. We're going to have to wind this up. It's hard to imagine, like Ike. I think it was actually, the wind was Cat 2, but the storm surge was a Cat
Right.
3 or 4. And with that eye, they were talking about earlier in the week, because it's so small, it can really spin up. It's not a 4 mile wide eye or a 5 mile wide eye or 20 mile. It was like, or maybe it was
It was
4
4
miles.
miles
It was
wide. It
4
was
miles
tight.
versus 20 miles.
20,
And so
yeah.
you're condensing all that spin from a typical 22 mile wide eye
Right.
down, 75% into that. Yeah, it's going to spin. And, I'm hoping that it'll drop down to a 3, but that water's already starting to stack.
Water's already being pushed ahead of the
Yeah,
storm,
and
and
so
that's already, that intensity is already headed that way. And they've already done a pretty good job of predicting that and telling people in low-lying areas to get to high ground or get inland. At the very, very least, get inland, even if they can't fully evacuate.
right.
So, they evacuated Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel and Captiva and all the little islands around that, because just like Bolivar, I mean, the population there is a retired population for the most part. People go to Florida to retire, enjoy that lifestyle. But when you have emergencies and things like this, where you're talking about evacuation, being cut off from medical services, being cut off from food and water, electricity, it's just really hard physically on the body to be in those kind of conditions for an extended period of time, especially if you have any underlying medical issues. So I would definitely not recommend it.
I would have bought a couple cases of beanies and weenies, a couple cases of Spam, and 2 or 3 loaves of bread and some mustard, and at least you can eat. You may have an aching belly.
We used our grill the last time, and we were cooking. We have those little pot things, and we were cooking on the little pot thing, and we were grilling stuff. So I was like, well, I mean, we got meat, so we'll
That's
just grill.
What we've done is we clean out the freezer. Even though we have a generator, we cook outside. So, well, by the time everyone sees this, we'll know exactly what's going on with Milton. And I want to send out from Team Bolivar and everyone our prayers to Florida. Even up into the Carolinas for what they've been through. We've been through the storm part, not the flooding part, but it's going to be, a long road to recovery. But I know from the experience here, if the businesses want to come back, it comes back a lot quicker, because that's why Bolivar came back so quick after Ike was the businesses hit the ground running, cleaning, and opened up, a little bit here and a little bit there. And then the people come back. So
Americans are resilient. We're resilient, and we're gonna build back, and we're gonna come back. So, and don't forget, hurricane season does not end until November 30th. We cannot let our guard down. Okay, there's still activity out there. We gotta keep our eyes on it. So
So well, Chandra's going to take a little break next week, but I'll be back and keep y'all informed on what's going on with the TWIA saga. About the rate increase. We're going to find out on the 15th, and she's going to keep me informed on that so that we can go ahead and let you know what you need to do, whether we need to start emailing the governor or if it's set in stone. And then we'll be back with her the following week on, we'll probably doing you didn't move enough.
I didn't move enough.
An overview on what happened with TWIA and why it went the direction it did. And that'll be the week, that'll be about the 21st, wrong month, the 25th probably, that we do that show. So it's not over. Chandra, thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to head on out until next time. I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye.